The old hospital loomed ahead, grey, imposing, surrounded by fog. It stood on a forgotten road swallowed by trees. The trees were dark like twisted claws. The air was cold, damp, it smelled of decay. The only sound was the wind. It whistled through the broken windows of the hospital like someone was crying. No one dared to go near the hospital, not anymore. It had been abandoned for years. Some said it was haunted, others said it was cursed. Everyone avoided it, everyone except us.
Are you sure about this?
Don't be scared.
Ali said, trying to sound brave. He wasn't.
Come on, you two. It's just an old building.
But her eyes darted nervously. She couldn't hide her fear. It was a dare, a test of courage. Who would be the first to spend a night in the abandoned hospital? We all knew the stories. We'd heard the whispers, but none of us believed them, or did we? The old hospital had a dark past. People whispered about it, patients who disappeared, doctors who went mad, screams in the night. No one knew what was true and what was legend. One story haunted us the most, a doctor, driven insane, performing horrific experiments on his patients. They said he roamed the halls, still searching for victims. We tried to ignore the stories, to tell ourselves they weren't true, but the closer we got to the hospital, the more real they became. The gate creaked open with a groan, like a mouth opening in a silent scream. We stepped inside. The air grew colder, heavier. The lobby was in ruins. Dust covered everything. Broken furniture lay scattered around like someone had fought their last breath here. A draft made the chandelier swing, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Our footsteps echoed in the silence. Each step filled us with dread. What have we gotten ourselves into? Section 5. Shadows moving in the dark. We moved deeper into the hospital. Each room was the same. Derelict, disturbing. We found gurneys covered in rusted stains, surgical tools scattered on trays as if the doctors had left in a hurry. Every shadow seemed to move. Every creak sounded like a footstep. Our imaginations were working overtime, turning the ordinary into the terrifying. We heard a noise, a soft whimper, coming from the end of the hall. Our blood ran cold. We froze, listening, waiting.
The whimpering came again, louder this time. We followed the sound, our hearts pounding in our chests. It led us to a room. The door was slightly ajar. We pushed it open. The room was empty, but the whimpering continued. It seemed to be coming from the walls, from the air itself. "Hello?" Ali called out, his voice shaky. Only silence answered him. But the whimpering didn't stop. It seemed to be getting closer, surrounding us.
We found the operating room at the end of the hallway. The door hung open, creaking ominously. The air inside was thick and cold. A single operating light illuminated the room. It flickered, casting grotesque shadows on the walls. In the center of the room sat an operating table. Restraints were still strapped to its sides. We could hear it again, the whimpering, but it was different now, closer, more insistent, and it was coming from under the operating table.
Layla, unable to resist the urge, knelt down. She peered under the operating table. Her eyes widened in horror. She screamed. We rushed to her side. "What is it? What did you see?" Sarah cried.
But Layla was gone, vanished, as if she had never been there at all. The whimpering stopped. The room was silent, except for our ragged breathing. We were alone, trapped in this nightmare, and something was terribly wrong. We ran out of the operating room, through the empty halls, past the shadows and the whispers. We didn't stop running until we burst out of the hospital, into the night. The fog was gone. The moon shone brightly, illuminating the road ahead. There was no sign of the hospital, no twisted trees, no rusted gate, nothing. Had it all been a dream, a nightmare? We didn't know, but one thing was certain. We were never coming back here. Ever.